All right, let's get into it. If you have a young kid, chances are you've heard a very particular, very energetic voice coming from an iPad or a TV somewhere in your house. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the massive YouTube show Steve and Maggie and really figure out the secret formula that keeps millions of kids completely hooked.
So you're walking by the living room and you hear something like this. And for an adult, it's just bizarre, right? Ogres, ice cream, cookies that are secretly rocks, none of it makes any sense.
And then you hear this relentless, almost hypnotic repetition, and it's always delivered with 110% enthusiasm. Big and blue, over and over.
And to us, it can feel like just total, unfiltered chaos. So what is actually happening, and how has this captured the attention of millions of children? Well, here's the secret. It isn't chaos at all. It's actually a super carefully designed educational formula. It's made to grab a child's attention and teach them something. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to break that formula down piece by piece.
So let's get started with the first and maybe the most obvious ingredient in this whole secret sauce. It's something you hear constantly: repetition.
Now, check out the sheer intensity here. He doesn't just say it once, he drills it. The question gets asked 3 times, the answer is given 3 times, and then you get an explicit command to join in. This is repetition as a high-energy sport.
And you know, there's a real educational reason for this. It might sound a little annoying to parents, but for a kid, it's a core learning tool. It's called linguistic repetition, and it's fundamental. A child's brain is literally wired to learn through seeing and hearing things again and again.
So why does it work so well? Well, every single time a child hears, "it's a bus," a little neural pathway in their brain gets just a tiny bit stronger. It makes the world feel predictable and safe, which is a big deal when you're little. And then, when they can finally say bus all by themselves, that's a huge confidence booster.
Okay, so repetition is pillar number 1. But that alone doesn't explain why kids are literally yelling answers at the screen. And that brings us to the second key part of the formula, which is all about interaction.
Just listen to the language he uses. It's never passive. The show is constantly breaking that fourth wall, talking directly to the boys and girls who are watching. It's a direct invitation. It's saying, don't just sit there and watch. Be a part of this.
And this really gets to the core of the difference. For decades, kids' TV was basically a one-way street. You sit there, you watch, you receive information. But Steve and Maggie flips that script entirely. It creates the illusion of a two-way conversation, which turns what would be passive screen time into an active, participatory event for the child.
So we've got repetition and we've got interaction. The third, and honestly maybe the most clever piece of this puzzle, is how the show uses these really simple stories to teach kids about something complex, their own emotions.
Let's just break down one of their Halloween stories. It follows this perfect little 4-step pattern. First, you introduce a vague, kind of spooky idea. Second, you show a real emotional reaction. Steve gets scared and hides. Third, the big reveal. The scary monster was just his friend Maggie playing a trick. And fourth, the resolution. Everyone laughs, everything is safe again, and the fear actually turns into fun.
So why is that little story so powerful? It's basically a dress rehearsal for fear. It teaches a kid that feeling scared is okay and it's temporary, that things aren't always as scary as they seem, and that you can get through it to safety and even laughter on the other side. That is an incredibly important lesson for a little kid to learn.
Okay, so we've taken the whole machine apart, and we've looked at all the individual gears. Now let's step back and see how they all work together to create this, well, this unstoppable engine for early learning. And there it is. That's the formula. You have that constant repetition to build memory and vocabulary. You have the direct call and response to make it active, not passive. You have those simple emotional stories to help with social development. Then you wrap the whole thing in this package of nonstop energy and positivity, and boom, you've got the perfect digital classroom. So we've cracked the code. We get the method behind the madness now. It's effective, it's obviously educational, and kids absolutely love it. But it does leave us with a much bigger question to think about. As this kind of content gets smarter and more sophisticated, what does it really mean for the future of childhood and for play itself?